Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Darrell Winninger, Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News, and across the high desert on this Thursday, we've already started to see a big shift in the weather pattern. That started with a very cold start and some slick roads through Central Oregon, and through the day we've had periods of sunshine and still a few flurries, but this evening, look outside. These cameras across the high desert are showing mostly clear to partly cloudy conditions, so the clearing has already started, and it looks like both Bachelor and Hoodoo, we got a whole lot of much needed snow. We're going to talk about some of those totals and a few things happening here through the next couple of minutes, so buckle up. It's going to be fun, and it all starts with just this view across Central Oregon. So let's look at a couple other things. First off, when we just look at cameras that are just focused on Bachelor, you don't see any people out there, but you do see a lot of that new snow, and the snow stake was at 5 inches before they cleared that at about 3:30, maybe 4 o'clock. It's during the afternoon that they usually wrap that one up. But when we also go ahead and look at Hoodoo, they do have some people on the slopes, and it's very nice because today was opening day up at Hoodoo. So a lot of people up there having fun, but also low visibility, still breezy, especially in the highest elevations, and it is chilly up there. Now, as we go through the next couple of days, we're actually looking at the potential for some bluebird days coming up. So when we just focus on what's going to happen, we do not have any more weather alerts. And even, I'm going to come back to the weather alerts, but even when we look at the winter storm impact, it's just limited in the Cascades, and that's going to be through the rest of this evening going into tonight. And the only weather alerts by the National Weather Service is a series of air stagnation advisories. They go into effect at 10 a.m. Friday, continue until 10 a.m. on Sunday, and these air stagnation advisories typically happen when there's high pressure, especially during the winter, as it is a cold night. A lot of people are going to be using their wood-burning fireplaces or wood-burning stoves to help keep it warm, so that's putting a little bit of smoke particulates in the air. On top of that, we have some pile burns going on. And what happens with high pressure is you get three things with a typical high, and then some of us call it the three S's. You have you have sunshine, which just means very little cloud cover. You have stability, which also means that you don't have much potential for any storm development or any vertical development. And you also have subsidence. Subsidence is the one that comes into play here. And that means with the high pressure, it's basically the atmosphere pushing down on the surface and giving us high pressure in the lowest elevations, the lowest altitudes. And the setup that we have coming up, it's going to trap a lot of the smoke particulates closer to the surface, hence the air stagnation advisories around Central Oregon, but not really on the high desert. So even when we go ahead and just take a moment to look at that, when it comes to air quality, we're sitting in the green. There's two different setups here. There are a couple different networks. The base map is the DEQ, courtesy of airnow.gov, and it shows good air quality. And all those little green dots are real-time sensors from eSpace, and they're showing good air quality sitting in the green. Even when we look at the purple air sensors, taking into account that pile burn that's south of Sisters and west of Bend, there are only a couple of sensors that aren't green. Most of those are yellow or moderate air quality, and there's one single one that is showing red or unhealthy air quality, and a single one showing hazardous air quality, but those are closer to and downwind of that prescribed burn, that pile burn that's ongoing. And this is something that we're going to continue to track with you. Now, meanwhile, when we go ahead and just look at the snow report, we've had new snow, not including what we got 24 hours prior to the last 24 hours. So this starts pretty much when they cleared that snow stake yesterday at Bachelor. But we've gotten between 6 and 16 inches of new snow through the Cascades. Most of that was in the highest elevations near Mount Hood. So you can see that on Timberline and Meadows. But even for Bachelor, we caught an extra 6 inches. Now the snow stake showed 5, but we were getting pretty quick inches just as they were clearing that yesterday. puts it at 38 inches, so just over 3 feet at Bachelor, and about a half of a foot shy of 3 feet at Hoodoo, so well over 2 feet as far as what the base is right now. Now, the next couple of days, some compaction, some melting, all of that is expected. But as far as our powder prognosis for Friday, well, as we wrap up the work week, we have no new snow coming in except for tonight. Less than an inch at Bachelor, and the forecast model actually shows 1 to 2 inches at Hoodoo. I really think it's going to be less than an inch at Hoodoo as well. But it is something we're going to continue to track, and as of right now, the passes do not look friendly at all, unless you like driving in snow. Here's what we're seeing. We have snow on the road at St. Ian Pass, Willamette Pass. Century Drive on the way to Bachelor also has snow, as well as Government Camp. In our lower elevations, quite the different story. Here's what we're seeing. Snow off to the side of the road in La Pine, as well as Lava Butte. And last time I checked, at Powers Road and Bend, so South Bend, there is a little bit of snow on the side of the road, but a lot of that has been melting. But our temperatures today came a little above freezing, just not much. We'll talk about that and more here in the next several minutes. But as of right now, roads are looking pretty dry outside of where we've been getting some of that melting. Now, let's look at satellite and radar, because remember, satellite shows cloud cover, radar shows precipitation, and this specific radar setup that I have actually differentiates between rain and snow and wintry mix. But as of right now, we do not have much happening over the high desert. Some of those clouds continuing to thin out, and the closest precipitation is over the Olympic Peninsula, coming all the way down to just outside of Portland and up to the Cascades. And so that's just all going to be absorbed by the mountains, not really making it our way. So when we look at the bigger picture, we're dropping visible satellite imagery. Before, you were looking at a blend of visible and infrared. Now we're just looking at infrared. And I changed up the color coding on here, the legend, so that way there is an enhancement that really pulls out those tall clouds. When we have tall clouds, it's like what we see over the Pacific Ocean, where you have a lot of oranges and reds. Over the high desert, mostly yellows and greens, meaning that we have mid-level cloud cover, and that's what's clearing out. In the lower elevations, there is not much cloud cover out there. And when we look at the bigger picture, we're noticing that there's a broad ridge of high pressure. That's why I actually have the pressure on here, the isobars, or constant lines of pressure, is it helps paint the picture of what's happening. And that high pressure is really steering everything right around its periphery. So it's going around the northern part of that high pressure and into the Pacific Northwest, so mostly into Canada, just not quite really reaching us, and a little bit further to our north. Now, when it comes to water vapor imagery, it's similar to infrared. It comes from satellite, but we're also we're looking at moisture. And this specific one shows moisture in the lower elevations. And as of right now, some of those clouds that have been lingering over parts of the high desert, those are thinning out, and we're still holding on to some moisture. Now, where you get into that deep blue, that's where it starts to dry out, and where you get to the yellow, that's really dry. So for Central Oregon, we mostly have a little bit of moisture still left in the air, and that could come into play later on tonight when we're looking at the potential for areas of fog. But through the overnight hours, more clearing is also expected. By Thursday at 11 p.m., still have a few clouds, no precipitation, and that clears out. This is where we're looking at the potential for some AM fog for parts of Central Oregon. And then going forward through Friday, we have more sunshine than cloud cover. Saturday, a little bit more cloud cover, but still no precipitation. And then by Sunday, the tail end of a weak system brushes by the Pacific Northwest, starts to bring a few changes, but it doesn't really pan out. So relative humidity currently is moderate to high, but we don't have anything that's very high. We're not seeing any fog developing right now. And highs in the last 24 hours, high temperatures in the last 24 hours, mostly in the 30s with a few 40s. And yet this time yesterday, I was talking about how there is going to be a chance that some of us struggle to get above freezing. And that's exactly what happened. In Sun River and in La Pine, we struggled to get to freezing. Now, there was 40 as a high in Madras and 43 in Warm Springs, but where we had a lot of the snow on the road and temperature, and there was still some snow on the side of the road earlier today, temperatures just didn't go very far. Even in Sisters, we got a couple degrees above freezing, but not that far above freezing. Meanwhile, right now, most of our temperatures are in the 30s. We have 42 degrees in Warm Springs, and we're hitting freezing pretty quickly tonight, even though we're running between 2 and 6 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago at the moment. Earlier today, it was flip that. It was 2 to 6 degrees cooler than 24 hours ago. But when it comes to our temperature trend tonight, we are falling back into the 20s with a few teens possible. Tomorrow, the warming trend begins as we wrap up the work week. Temperatures will warm into the mid 40s for most. Now, some upper 40s and even a few low 50s are going to be possible. Hold on, it gets there. Don't worry. But for the most part, with this calmer weather pattern, it's mostly going to be because we're under the influence of a broad ridge of high pressure. So today, that high is still offshore. Tonight and tomorrow, this high pressure starts to build or expand, I should say, over the Pacific Northwest. So Friday, we're looking at highs into the 40s, few 50s possible. The warm-up begins. By Saturday, through the 40s, reaching into the 50s. So highs on either side of 50 degrees. And by Sunday, 50s with just some 40s. Still tons of sunshine with thin out clouds. We will call that pleasant, and it warms up a little bit more with the beginning of next week. In fact, this warming trend stays with us through most of the 7-day planner. Even at that, by the time we get to this time next week, the end of our 7-day planner, we're still looking at sunshine, and temperatures are still going to be well into the mid to some upper 50s. We just see that warming trend, the actual warming trend, slow down. So when it comes to precipitation between now and Sunday at 11 p.m., a little bit more in the Cascades, but we're talking maybe up to an inch. Then high pressure builds in. Then we start to see that sunshine. So through the next several hours, a few more flurries. By 7 a.m., pockets of AM freezing fog. Outside of that, we're looking at sunshine through the day. And this is when the warm-up begins. By Saturday, warm-up really taking hold. Either side of 50 degrees, additional clouds. That weak system fizzles out as it rolls inland, so not really impacting us. Winds could get a little breezy at times through the weekend, and a few sprinkles, a few flurries aren't out of the question. We're just not worried about it. By Sunday and Monday, we still have a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover. So we're about to take a step back and look at a different forecast model just to compare the two, see if there's any differences, doing some analysis with you live on here. But this one is the GFS, and it actually goes out to 14 days. However, past 7 days, it's give or take on the reliability. So we're just going to go ahead and focus on when and where we see precipitation here. And then also clouds. So by Friday, more sunshine. By Saturday, clouds mixed with sunshine, no precipitation. By Monday, we still have that in and out cloud cover. But look at this, by Tuesday, by Wednesday, by Thursday, tons of sunshine, still no precipitation, and still a little bit of warming left to go. And so between now and 5 p.m. on Wednesday, maybe up to an inch possible through the Cascades, a few sprinkles and flurries in our lower elevations. Now, on the flip side of this, winds have been gusty through the day today at times. Right now, we have some of those gusts above 20 miles per hour, but not for everybody. Actual winds are about 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusts up to 20. And then going forward through the rest of this evening, winds taper off pretty nicely. Overnight, we keep a light breeze. Tomorrow, a light breeze that becomes breezy at times. And that continues through Saturday. So for tonight, expect 20s with a few teens. Clearing continues. By Friday, tons of sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover, 40s with a few 50s. Then the warming stays with us. Remember, winds do get breezy at times through this weekend. In and out clouds are expected. After Tuesday, when we really clear out again, we're back to sunshine. Look at Wednesday, either side of 60 degrees possible. So this is well above the average high of 43 degrees. And even by tomorrow, we're going to be near and above average for this time of the year. Then it just keeps warming up. It's going to be great. So a quick recap of what you can expect through the next couple of days. Slick roads and cold nights are in the forecast. More sunshine is on the way, and the warming trend begins on Friday. Speaking of which, we do not have any precipitation across the Tri-County area, and we've actually seen quite a bit of clearing. So join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We will have the latest in headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.